How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here and welcome to today's World of Tanks console news video where we look over everything that we know so far that Wargaming have released. There are some new tanks coming out into the game that will be very interesting for those of you that want to play and they want to grind out some new tanks. There's also a massive earn operation to be able to get your hands on one of the most overpowered tier 10s in the game currently, and yeah, you'll definitely be able to get it in September. Now, before we go through all of that, we obviously have this week's news. We'll go over that now. Of course, new season Arms Race came out this week. It's performing better than the previous season. Obviously, that's just because it has more premium tanks and it's more worth it than the last season. Unfortunately, we have a lot more Cold War tanks as the higher tier kind of stuff within the game, which is a bit disappointing considering they did say that this was going to be more focused on like historical stuff. So I was hoping that it would be more World War II content. So I think maybe swapping it out from Wargaming's point of view so that we have both World War II new content coming out in one season pass and then in the next one be more Cold War. So it's like a 50-50 balance, if that makes sense. Now, of course, this week we also had the 68 World War II classic tanks rebalance, and of course, if you've watched yesterday's video on the FE215B, you can just see how much of a difference it's made, and yeah, it definitely has made a massive difference to a lot of tanks, things like the IS-7, if you've watched Clone Guy's video, which I would highly recommend showing off what the IS-7 is like now, and of course, the FE215B, there's a few different changes. Of course, the broken E4 now has just got even better. Definitely something I would look into getting if you haven't already. And definitely look through yesterday or last week's news video on the Legends Reforged event if you want to find out more details. As far as the Eastern Lights and tank destroyers, well, they're performing pretty average, to be honest. So there is a range of actual percentages here. So in the Era 1, 67% of all tanks are mediums, 26% are lights, and 7% are tank destroyers. Well, considering the battles are pretty much one of those things where, you know, people are reporting that there are tons of light tanks. Well, yes, there are tons of light tanks. If you take 28% as a percentage, well, a quarter of the team are light tanks. So what does that mean? Well, you're going to have roughly 4 or 5 light tanks on every single team that you are going into, which is way more than you're used to on World War II. So yeah, there is a massive light kind of thing within the Era 2. That's where it's probably the biggest problem, along with Era 1. Yeah, they're just unbelievably kind of better as well, so hence why you're seeing a higher percentage. The heavy tanks, of course, are 50%. That's probably just because all of the season rewards have been heavy tanks like the Mobat and also the Cobra Cat as well. There's been a lot of heavy tanks released, so the figures are kind of heavily swayed by the premiums within Era 2. Now, of course, what do I think about this whole mix? Well, we've only got 2% tank destroyers, which kind of shows you how good they are in the game. And of course, they are new, so we can't take too much from this. But yeah, that's kind of just showing you the percentages here of the player base kind of representation, demographic, whatever you want to call it. There we go. There's basically been a few soft fails. There's not too many hard fails whereby you're not actually able to get into a match. I think that's what it means. There does appear to be tapering out though, so we will continue to monitor. So they're pretty much just staying around the same now. Baroness and Andre the Giant, top owned commanders at this time. So those are the two big ones that people have at the minute. RNG changes, so average damage blocked has increased from 2,300 to 2,900, so that is massive. Trust me, that is massive. 23% increase means that heavy tanks now actually work, and if you've seen the videos from both myself and Clone Guy, you will see that the damage blocked has just increased dramatically. Definitely just crazy, to be honest. Limited amount of bugs, so there is a small issue with the IS-3 and it was fixed on Thursday, so it's absolutely fine. Now, that is all of this week's news. Of course, let me know what you thought of this new update, the tanks rebalance. It's definitely made it more interesting, for me at least, within the game. There's a lot more stuff to try out, a lot more tanks to give a go again, and things like the E4 have just become unbelievably good, and I'm definitely going to have to do a video on that very, very soon. Now, next week is the next bit of this news video, which is probably the most important section for you guys, and probably the most promising one. Now, we have the Tanks Reforged event. So, yes, as with every single week recently, we've been getting some buffs to some tanks, and of course this week is completely no different. This one has the Type 5 Heavy line, which many of you will be interested in. The Type 5 Heavy has now become unbelievably good. Now, when I say this in the game, I don't mean it's going to be stomping the matchmaker, it's going to be absolutely ruining the game, but this tank has become, probably in my opinion, too strong. Now, with regards to this tank, what's happened? Well, the damage on the 150mm gun has gone up from 1100 to 1300. The accuracy on the same gun, given the fact that the damage has gone up by 200, has increased by 0.5. So it's now got 0.45 dispersion, which can be reduced heavily if you put on the accuracy perks and all of the equipment and skills and stuff like that. And then turret rotation shot dispersion has decreased, so you're going to be more accurate. After shot dispersion has also decreased, which means that you're going to be even further accurate, and the premium shell penetration has gone from 264 to 330 pen. Now, when I talk about the premium shell penetration, it doesn't really mean much. You're only doing 700 damage, or just over 700 damage with the premium shell, because it is a heat round, I believe, which means that you can bounce. But trust me, when I say the 1300 damage gun can almost do the same damage as a full penetration with the 700 alpha damage gun, which means that it's completely pointless that you would ever fire heat. So just fire the HE rounds. You're going to be able to deal like 500 consistently to a mouse, which is one of the most heavily armoured. And of course, if you pen with the 85mm of penetration that the 150mm gun gets, you'll be dealing 1300 at least. And of course, the 20% increase to the maximum hit and the minimum hit is also 20%, means that you could roll up to what? Let's take it, 1560 damage, if that is correct. Of course, you can always check that out, but I think it is 1560 damage is the maximum shot that you can do with the Type 5 Heavy now, which is unbelievable. This tank has become so much better. You not only have you got the gun increases, you've got armor increases, you've now got horsepower increases, which means that you're going to be able to get up to top speed and maintain that top speed much easier. And of course, the hull armor is just going to mean that you'll bounce more, which, trust me, you do bounce more in the Type 5 Heavy now. So yeah, it's definitely something to be looking at. And of course, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the Type 5 Heavy, whether or not this was a good change, whether or not you would slightly decrease some of these. I definitely think the 1300 alpha is far too much, and the fact that you can probably splash people for 500 damage is, yeah, not something I would ever really want in the game. Don't think it really brings much to the game. I think that 1200 would be far enough. And to be honest, the 1100 with the accuracy buffs and the dispersion buffs would probably be fine on its own. But yeah, I see why they done the damage upgrade, but 1200 is probably the upper limit of where you want to go with that. Then, of course, the Type 4 Heavy has got the exact same kind of changes. You'll be increased of damage from 1100 to 1300. The accuracy's gone up, aim time has gone down, turret rotation shot dispersion has gone down, which means it's more accurate, as well as aftershot dispersion. And, of course, the premium shell penetration has gone up to 330. That's because it's the same gun. You are slightly worse in accuracy overall than the Type 5, which, of course, is because it's a tier 9. 140mm gun has got basically better again, and also it's got an engine power upgrade, so now you have 1400 horsepower. I think the tank isn't particularly overpowered, it's quite slow, armor doesn't work as well, you haven't got any armor upgrades. Now the interesting bit about this is also the lower tier Japanese heavy tanks that are going to get changed. Well, you have the OHO, you've got the ONI, the OI Experimental. Now, when we look at the OI Experimental, of course, it is probably the best one of them all in terms of these three lower tier ones. But we'll go over the OHO. Basically, armor upgrade, turret armor upgrade, and the gun has got basically a hell of a lot more accuracy. The 10cm now has ridiculously good accuracy and aim time, and the 15cm howitzer is now more accurate, along with the 10cm top gun is definitely a lot more accurate, and the aim time and reload has gone down significantly as well. So there we go, the OHO, basically just better in terms of where you're looking at all of the weak points, so the mini turrets have got upgraded, along with the upper sloped hull plate as well. So you'll probably bounce a few off of the Oho if you don't fully aim at the weak points. Oni, similar sort of story. Guns have basically just got upgraded. You haven't got any armor upgrades on the Oni, and so yeah, I think it's going to be in a pretty mediocre place as it was previously. It just can perform slightly better in terms of the gun performance. OI Experimental, however, this tank is unbelievable with the golfing rounds, as I like to call them, the big 120mm, I think it is, on this gun that it gets, or the 105 that does 320 or 350 alpha damage with heat rounds that literally pen every single thing in the game. And now they've given it the tank armor, so it's now got 130mm of turret frontal armor at tier 5, along with gun mantler armor, and hull armor increases up to 130mm, which is unbelievable. Definitely a tank I would recommend any of you who haven't already played, or maybe if you haven't played it in a long time, the OI Experimental on Tuesday will be so much better. Now moving on, another key bit of the video, we are going over the new World War II premium tank, the Char Futur 4, which is the French tier 9 medium and custom skin. We'll go over the actual vehicle in just a second to show you exactly what the tank is like, and we'll do that now. Now here we are with the Char Futur 4. So this is of course a French tier 9 medium tank. It plays very much like the Batchat 25 TAP or the Batchat 25T, of course being the tier 9 and tier 10 respectively. This tank is pretty good, if I'm going to be completely honest. It's got a top speed of 60 kilometers an hour, so you can shift around the battlefield, 390 alpha damage, and of course it does have the 4-clip autoloader, so a total DPM, or damage per clip even, of, what's that, 1560 damage, I believe. Yeah, unbelievable. That's going to be very, very nice to actually give a go. I think that this tank will be super competitive within the current meta on World of Tanks console, and I definitely want to give this tank a go. And with regards to the ammunition loadout, you tend to get, this is PC stat, so they could change on console. Not entirely sure that they're going to be exactly the same, but I think it's important that we go over them. Really good penetration for a tier 9, 264mm on its standard rounds and 330 on its premium with heat rounds, and of course you get HE that can deal 480 damage. In terms of the key aspects of the tank, really good dispersion. You've also got a nice aim time as well. Intraclip reload of 4 seconds, so it's quite long. DPM is only 1829, which is not particularly the best in the game. Of course, you can improve the DPM using the variety of different perks within the game. On console, we've got more perks to be able to boost up the DPM than they do on a PC, so you'll actually probably be seeing a DPM in the region of about 2,400 with all of the perks and stuff like that, so I would expect around there, maybe slightly less, 2,300, but yeah, if the stats remain the same, that is. Now, as most of you are probably wanting to know, what is the armor model like of the Char Futur tier 4? Well, this is basically the armor model, so you're not going to be bouncing anything. It's got 190mm of frontal turret armor that if you manage to actually hit the gun or the top of the turret where you've got this gun, it's basically only got 40 or 90mm of armor, which means everything is going to be able to go through you. Obviously, lower plate is massive and it's definitely terrible. 30mm on the lower plate, 50 to 60mm on the kind of mid plate, and you don't want to be aiming at the upper plate because that will just auto ricochet. Side armor is absolute trash, 40mm on the upper hull armor, and of course if you go through the tracks you'll be seeing values of approximately 60 to 90 basically, if you manage to hit the tracks at the same time. And of course if you hit the side of the turret it's absolutely paper, so you will be able to pen this tank with HE. So if you do see it in the game, make sure that you load HE for the side of it and the back of it, and even if you see the front, if you hit that lower plate you can hit it and pen with HE very reliably. So yes, it is a kind of glass cannon except from the turret if you use the gun depression as well, which you get 7.5 degrees of gun depression, making the turret armor actually pretty good, unless of course you hit that top bit of the gun, and of course if they don't expose this massive frontal plate, which becomes absolute paper when they're using the gun depression of the tank. Definitely a tank I want to get. 1750 health, which isn't massive at tier 9. Not awful, but it's definitely workable. And yeah, I think that this tank will be very, very good in game. I think it's definitely one to maybe purchase if you're interested in your autoloaders, if you're interested in the French autoloaders like the Batchat 25T AP or the Batchat 25T, or alternatively things like the AMX 5100. This is kind of the same sort of tank within the game. So yeah, there we go. The Char Futur tier 4 the Char Futur 4, which is definitely a thing that you'll want to be getting in the game. It does have a custom skin as well. Maybe we'll see that at the end of this article. Bounty Hunter is also coming in with Deadbolt Mercenary tanks, so you will be able to get the Deadbolt tank. I can't remember which one that is. I don't think it's particularly one of the most overpowered mercenary tanks in the game, but maybe there for some of you interested in getting your hands on some of the mercenary ones. Of course, we haven't got very much information regarding when the actual mercenary tanks are coming back into the game in terms of the contracts, but then again, you know, I'm not that surprised. Back to school sale is also coming on, so we'll have sales on Premium Time, Tech Tree / Premium Tech Tree discounts, which is really, really nice. Premium Time is one of the key things that is definitely worth buying on World of Tanks. It usually comes on a 50% discount on console, so you'll be able to actually pick up Premium Time for 365 days for about £30, which is actually not bad considering, you know, you take a monthly cost of about £2.80. Yeah, it's not massive. And if you look at games like World of Warcraft, some of the subscription-based games and MMOs and stuff like that, you're paying like £8 to £10 a month just to play the game. So yeah, definitely not too bad in terms of the costs. And of course, you don't even need it in this free-to-play game, but it does really, really help, both in progression and also not like getting stuffed by the silver costs of everything in the game. Tech Tree and Premium Tech Tree discounts are going to be good. I'll go through them when they actually get released next week, so stay tuned for that. And of course, probably the biggest thing for those of you interested in the gameplay aspect of World of Tanks console and PS4 and Xbox One is the September challenge. Earn the T95 FV4201 Chieftain, the Super Chieftain, the overpowered Chieftain, or the more overpowered Chieftain. This one is absolutely crazy within the game. Definitely a tank that you will want to be able to pick up. The September challenge, it will be going through much like we've had the Object 268 version 5 challenge. It will be the same sort of thing, get 480 points over the course of a month, pick it up, and you'll definitely be able to have some really good games. You'll basically be able to pick up this tier 10 premium tank. I say it's premium, but it's kind of like a reward one. It doesn't earn any more silver, other than the fact it's just blatantly completely overpowered, and you can only pick it up for either free XP, which either you have to play an infinite amount of games to be able to save up free XP, because they're like 500,000 free XP, unless on discount, or you can alternatively pay for the free XP, which revolves around you spending actual money to be able to get the free XP, and then you can buy the tank. So yeah, not particularly too fussed on the fact that they do that and have such high costs, but it is Wargaming, we don't expect much more. And if you see what Wargaming PC have done recently with the whole World of Warships thing, yeah, just unbelievable that they managed to get away with the fact that, yeah, they basically said something nasty about one of the CCs that left the program. Yeah, just unbelievable with a bonus code. But there we go, that's PC Wargaming, and hopefully console don't ever stoop that low. But yeah. Next one is the Great Tank Pursuit 2 Daily Battles Challenge. Earn up to 3 tanks, camos, boosters, equipment, and 3D commanders. So, Great Tank Pursuit, as with the previous one that we had, it was the one where you had to play like 70 battles in, or players must complete 35 days out of 42 for top rewards. So this one goes on for 35 days, or 42 days even. And you have to complete 35 to be able to get the top tank in the bundle, which of course I believe was the M60 last time. You also got the IS-6 and the T-92 light tank, which, yes, was actually pretty bad, not too bad, but I didn't like the fact that you had to come on every single day and play one game where you did okay, or it might have even been three games each day, play those, get a certain amount of XP or something like that, and then you basically completed it, and it kind of just felt a little bit boring, to be honest with you. But there we go, it's there, and I'm sure the rewards will be very nice for anyone grinding towards getting the tanks within this. You also get premium time, and I think you get like key cards as well along the way out of the 42 days that this is available. And obviously you only need to be on 35 days, which means you get basically 7 days off from playing World of Tanks if you want to be able to max out this operation or Great Tank Pursuit challenge. And then, of course, we have Armadillo inconsistent rate of fire bug reported by players and will be fixed on Tuesday. So, of course, it's the Armadillo. Not only is it broken in-game, it's actually physically broken with its rate of fire. It doesn't actually work, and it's not consistent. So, yeah, that's interesting, and that's going to be fixed on Tuesday. As far as the works in progress, which of course are the things that Wargaming kind of put out there, saying we are kind of looking at doing this in the near future, not going to give you an exact kind of date that it will come out or exact kind of week that it's going to come out, but these are things to be thinking about in the next maybe month or two. And of course, this September we will be getting Labor Day events and String Theory. String Theory is one of my favourite operations. I think it's really, really fun. And yeah, of course, trying to string as many wins as possible together to be able to win as many games and perform as best as you can, really grinding out as many games to be able to grind through loads of tank lines all in one. And of course, we've got more tank earn ops coming out in September as well, which is added on to all of these that you'll be seeing. Hot Wheels Last Chance as well, so you'll be able to pick up Hot Wheels tanks, which I'm not sure too many people will be doing. Day of Tankman event to earn new skins, so you'll be able to get new skins next month. And also next tank reforge will be the WZ111 GFT tank destroyer line, which 100% needed a buff. Talk Like a Pirate Day special commander key cards as well, so you'll be able to get that as well. And the end of September, they'll be focusing on a lot of quality of life changes. Horizontal tech trees are now all in and being polished. So no longer will we have the vertical tech tree. We're going to be having horizontal tech trees like they used to be. Thank the heavens they've decided to do this. It's 100% needed. I am so pleased that we will be getting the easier to navigate horizontal tech trees rather than the vertical ones we had previously. Also plays up to tier in the garage, so it will show you exactly what tier that your tank plays up to in the game. Not a massive change, but it's one of those small kind of optimization sort of things, and playing the new maps as well. Close to optimization for Series X/S, going through a certification which should be complete by the end of the year, which basically just means that you'll be able to get the Series X and Series S having better graphics typically, and you'll be able to have the optimization so that the game runs as smoothly and also performs better than probably the current version of the game, because it's optimized. It can use all of the resources available on the new consoles to be able to show off the kind of graphics engine that I'm sure World of Tanks and Wargaming have actually implemented for these consoles, and so that's going to be good. Looking for more balancing changes, please feel free to let us know what you think basically on Discord. You can message Minto, or you can message in the suggestions, and also you can do it on the forums, or alternatively just comment down below in this video and I'll try and get them forward to Wargaming themselves, and hopefully we can actually bring about some good balance changes. Some of the tanks are definitely there that still need balancing. I'm looking at a lot of the older premiums that still needed the buffs. Things like the IS-6, yes, they did get buffed, but the key aspects of them didn't get buffed, like the fact it probably needed more penetration. Just a bit of a letdown. Mercenary contracts are nearly complete. The machine will be the first tank once contracts return. Oh god. The machine, back again. It will be returning, and mercenary contracts are nearly complete. So this is all really, really key. Hopefully we see them maybe in October, I would say. Given the fact that they've not stuck them in September or end of September, I would assume October, and yeah, definitely before the end of the year we'll probably be getting mercenary contracts. So it's only taken them a year to put something back in the game that was already in the game. So there we go. Ranked battles are still not expected in the short term, so we probably won't see them for at least another 6 months probably, or maybe even a year. Boosters are coming back in September, but it will be the ×3 and not ×5, so you will no longer be able to get the ×5, or at least you won't be able to purchase them yet. So they probably will come out, but they're kind of easing their way back into the game. The Type 5 or the ×5 will likely arrive in November. ×4 commanders and 1.5 times silver are coming mid-September too. They'll update on the 10th of September about Hellfire Pass, which of course is Scorpion Pass remastered that you can play in custom games right now, and they're going to try and bring it into the actual live server because there was a little bit of balancing that kind of didn't really work too well. All other images can be shown, can be found here, so we'll have a look at those in just a second. So here we go. This is the Char Futur 4, which of course you can have a look at the statistics of the vehicle here. This is kind of what it looks like in terms of the damage and the module damage. You can see the accuracy. Looking pretty good. I think that this tank's going to be fun. 42-second reload, which is quite long actually, along with the fact that you actually have a 4-second entry clip, meaning that the rate of fire is 4.44, which if we compare it to the PC version, rate of fire 4.69, so you have slightly higher, but then we also have the DPM that we can put on the Char Futur 4, which means that you will actually be able to have better DPM than on the PC version. So yeah, it will basically be better. It's got better accuracy as well, I believe. Oh no, it doesn't. It actually has worse, much worse accuracy, 0.38. compared to 0.33 standard. So there we go, that is the Char Futur 4. This is the skin for the Char Futur 4 as well, so you'll be able to have a look at this. It's got that weird mouth, kind of looks a bit Halloween-y to be honest. OI Experimental, this is the changes. OI Experimental Armor Balancing, we've got the Type 5 Heavy, and of course this is the horizontal tech tree, I believe, that you can see here. So there we go, very interesting stuff. Looking forward to actually getting to play with this kind of tank in the game on Tuesday, and basically just trying it out. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to check out any more videos on the channel, then there will be some on screen now. And of course, thank you very much to the channel members for supporting the channel even further. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.